We're also going to talk about what is going on in Tenerife. Because, of course, as usual, we've got yet another development overnight in the story that's kept everybody completely and utterly baffled as to what actually happened to Jay Slater. Casey Davis is here with us, senior foreign reporter of The Sun. Casey, very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. Stranger than the last time you were here, we've got yet another twist in the tale, which we didn't know about until yesterday. Supposedly, Jay pinched a £12,000 Rolex watch just before he vanished.
Yes, so Mark Williams-Thomas, who has been investigating the case himself away from the official investigation, he says he's spoken to a lot of witnesses, a lot of Jay's friends and families, trying to piece together Jay's last movements. Now, he claims that Jay left the Airbnb he went to feeling scared. He said he didn't want to return to it, but he said also in the hire car he was in with the two British men after he left the club on the way to the Airbnb, he claims Jay sent a Snapchat saying that he had stolen a Rolex watch. He said he hasn't been able to stand that up officially, like with theft reports, but Jay's friends told Mark that he wouldn't make up such a claim. Right.
So, as far as the sort of investigator is concerned, and he's quite a well-known investigator, isn't he, Jake, that this is something that obviously happened. But the big question in the Sun story today, why did two men take my Jay back to the villa? And this is obviously, you know, his dad saying this to your reporter out there. So there's still an awful lot of questions.
Yes, it does feel that way. There's a lot of gaps in the story at the moment. Even Jay's parents are questioning what on earth happened.
Right.
They can't understand why their son, who is just 19 years old, why did he go back to this Airbnb with two men who are much older?
And
one
who
of them
he
is
didn't
31.
know, right?
Yes, well, apparently the man who has spoken out, the 31-year-old, he said he knew Jay through friends.
Yeah.
Brad, who is Jay's close friend, said last week that they met these men whilst they were on holiday, but it's unclear how well they actually knew each other, so we're not sure why Jay would have gone back with them.
And is the suggestion then, to put the two stories kind of together, that the £12,000 Rolex that was pinched from that place?
Potentially. I mean, we're not 100% sure. The stuff around the watch isn't completely been cleared up. There was reports last week that police were looking into a theft at the club Jay was at of a watch, and they were looking at CCTV and speaking to witnesses, but there's a lot of gaps in that story still.
Yeah, exactly right. Because I got the impression, I think I mentioned this to you last time you were here, that when the police said they were not going to be looking for him anymore, it didn't sound like they didn't think they were going to stop looking for him because they thought he was dead. It was more that they didn't think he was there, even.
Yes, potentially. I mean, they feel like they had searched the ground so extensively and they couldn't keep searching forever. They'd searched for going on for 2 weeks. So they said they'd make it more of an investigation, like looking into tip-offs and new information rather than just scouring the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, I suppose it's impossible to know the answers to this question, but is it possible that he's left Tenerife and that he's come back home? Or, I mean, could he even do that without being spotted?
I mean, that's a good question, but again, it's all down to sort of speculation, which we're trying not to do. I know there's a lot on social media, people speculating what might have happened to him, but at this point it is unclear. We don't have any reason to believe Jay may have left Tenerife, but again, we're not sure at this stage.
And the father tells Ryan Parry in Tenerife again that he's actually quite angry about the way the police are handling this whole thing.
Yes, the family very much feel like they've been left in the dark. Jay's dad, Warren, yes, he spoke to my colleague Ryan in Tenerife yesterday, and he said he was almost gone past the stage of feeling sad, and he just felt really angry because he doesn't feel like enough's maybe been done to find his son.
And he says, do you think they should be still searching? If it was in England, I'd be causing a stink, but because we're in a foreign country, we've got to leave it to the people who know best. And also, of course, they're still facing quite a bit of criticism of the family, aren't they? Because they're accessing some of the money that's been donated, if you like, to their GoFundMe page.
Yes, but, you know, the GoFundMe, the donations have been sent by well-wishers and supporters, so the family have every right to use it for what they want to use it. I think there's just been a lot of trolls online, like a phenomenal amount, who have just been spewing vile comments at the family, which is just unfair, really.
Right, and also the guy who's out there, Jake, that you mentioned earlier, he's been saying that, you know, it's all very well for people to want to help, but, you know, it's probably not very helpful to try and solve the crime by, you know, sort of amateur sleuthing and to be going out there and sort of getting in the way of the police effort.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a lot of armchair detectives and such in this country who've just been trying to come up with their own theories, which doesn't really help anyone. The wild speculation just harms the family.
No, I mean, there is this kind of obsession, isn't there, with true life crime. I mean, there's podcasts all over the place that are put out there. There's all manner of, you know, every time there's a court case now, it seems, there's somebody doing a podcast about the case.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's human nature to wonder, it's human nature to speculate, but what I think is really unhelpful is people setting up Facebook groups, coming up with theories,
Right.
trying to dig out things. Like, who is that helping? It's not
Right.
helping the police, it's not helping the family. Like,
Yeah.
let the police and the family do their jobs, trying to find Jay.
Yeah, it was strange. I mean, one of the things we saw, I think we mentioned this the last time we spoke, was people saying, "Oh, should we stop the Euros? Should we, prevent people from playing football while Jay's still missing?" Almost as if that's the most important thing in the world, which of course it is to his family. But it's all out of all proportion, really, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, this case has been a huge amount of interest, like one of the greatest amount of interest I've ever seen in a case like this. But other things are going on in the world, but there is a lot of focus on this.
Yeah, there really is. Well, once again, Katie, thank you very much for coming to see us. The story continues to baffle everybody. Nobody really knows for sure when or where it will all end, but there's an awful lot of people investigating it, in addition now to the police in Tenerife. We'll keep you updated as soon as anything else happens.